Lahore Central Jail, 1930. A young man sits alone in a cell. He is 23 years old. He knows the sentence. He knows the date. He has known for some time that he will not leave this place alive. And yet, he picks up a pen, not to appeal for mercy, not to write a farewell letter, not to pray. He writes a philosophical essay, 40 pages, in English, addressed to every person who has ever questioned him. That man was Bhagat Singh, revolutionary, thinker, freedom fighter, and the most consequential atheist in the history of the Indian subcontinent. The essay he wrote in that cell is called Why I Am an Atheist. It was published after his execution in September 1931, 6 months after the British hanged him at the age of 23. It remains one of the most searingly honest documents in the literature of free thought. And almost nobody in the English-speaking world has read it. Today, that changes. Before we enter the essay, you need to understand who wrote it and the extraordinary circumstances in which it was written. Bhagat Singh was born in 1907 in Punjab, then part of British India. He grew up watching his people humiliated, taxed, and silenced by an empire that treated them as subjects rather than human beings. By the time he was a teenager, he had already read Marx, Lenin, and Bakunin. He was not a man of bullets alone. He was a man of ideas. In 1929, he and Batukeshwar Dutt threw non-lethal smoke bombs inside the Central Legislative Assembly in Delhi, not to kill, but to make noise. They wanted to be arrested. They wanted a trial. They wanted the world to hear what they had to say. He got his trial. He got his sentence. And in the 2 years he spent in Lahore Central Jail, awaiting the gallows, he read voraciously, argued tirelessly, and wrote. The essay, Why I Am an Atheist, was his response to friends and comrades who had accused him of the worst possible thing, vanity. They said his atheism was just pride. That fame had gone to his head, that the young revolutionary had simply become too arrogant to bow before God. He had something to say about that. The essay opens with an accusation. Bhagat Singh states it plainly in his own voice. It is a matter of debate whether my lack of belief in the existence of an omnipresent, omniscient God is due to my arrogant pride and vanity. His friends had concluded that after the Delhi bomb and the Lahore conspiracy case made him famous, the fame had turned his head, that he rejected God out of ego, out of the intoxication of celebrity. He answers this with surgical logic. He says, think about what vanity leading to atheism would actually mean. There are only 2 ways it could work. Either the vain man believes himself to be God's equal, in which case, he still believes in God, or he claims to be God himself, in which case, again, he believes in the concept of God. In both these states of mind, he cannot be an atheist in the true sense of the word. Then he turns the charge back on his accusers. He says, I was an atheist before the bombings. I was an atheist when I was a nobody. A college student cannot achieve sufficient fame to develop the specific kind of vanity that destroys faith. The timeline doesn't work. And besides, he says, there is something far more important to address. Not whether he became an atheist out of vanity, but whether he remains one when everything is at stake. Bhagat Singh then does something remarkable. He tells his own story. He was raised under his grandfather's care, a staunch Arya Samaji. He grew up saying prayers twice a day, morning and evening. He sat for hours chanting the Gayatri mantra. At school in the D.A.Vi College hostel in Lahore, he grew his hair and beard as a Sikh religious custom. At that time, I was a staunch believer. Then he joined the Revolutionary Party. He met leaders, some who were uncertain about God, some who were devout. He saw the famous Kakori martyrs, who spent their last days in prayer. He saw comrades who recited hymns from the Upanishads and the Gita, even as they prepared to die for India. And then came the turning point. Not fame, not arrogance, study. An incessant desire to study filled my heart. Study more and more, said I to myself, so that I might be able to face the arguments of my opponents. He read Bakunin. He read Marx. He read Lenin, Trotsky, Darwin. He read Nirlamba Swami's Common Sense. He studied atheist philosophy with the same intensity he had once applied to scripture. And by the end of 1926, the 20-year-old revolutionary had arrived at a conclusion. He could no longer believe that an omnipresent guiding supreme being existed. The evidence, the logic, the philosophy, none of it supported the claim. I had openly declared myself an atheist. And then came the moment that proved, beyond any argument, that his atheism was not vanity. In May 1927, Bhagat Singh was arrested in Lahore. He was taken to the railway police lockup. 1 month in custody. And during that month, police officers, some sympathetic, some threatening, told him repeatedly, low of voice, measured, pray, just pray twice a day, and this all goes away. He was 20 years old. The police had told him they had enough evidence to hang him. They were not entirely wrong. He tells us what happened next, in his own words. I thought that I would settle it to myself, whether I could brag only in days of peace and happiness that I was an atheist, or in those hard times, I could be steadfast in my convictions. After a long debate with myself, I reached the conclusion that I could not even pretend to be a believer, nor could I offer my prayers to God. No, I never did it. He would not pray. Not for his life. Not for his freedom. Not even to test whether it might work. And then he says something that stops you cold. Beliefs make it easier to go through hardships, even make them pleasant. Man can find a strong support in God and an encouraging consolation in His name. If you have no belief in Him, then there is no alternative but to depend upon yourself. He understood exactly what he was giving up. He understood that faith is a comfort, and he refused it anyway because comfort was not the point. Truth was the point, on suffering and the omnipotent God. Having established that his atheism is not vanity but conviction, Bhagat Singh turns to philosophy. He asks the theists of his world, directly, unflinchingly, the questions that have troubled every honest mind. If, as you believe, there is an almighty, omnipresent, omniscient God who created this world, please let me know, first of all, as to why he created this world. This world which is full of woe and grief and countless miseries, where not even one person lives in peace. If God is all-powerful, why does he permit suffering? If he enjoys it, he is a tyrant. If he cannot prevent it, he is not all-powerful. Singh offers a comparison that cuts like a blade. Nero burnt one Rome. He killed a very limited number of people. He caused only a few tragedies, all for his morbid enjoyment. What is his place in history? All the disparaging epithets are hurled at him. Now, how will you justify your all-powerful, eternal Nero, who every day, every moment continues his pastime of killing people? How can you support his doings which surpass those of Genghis Khan in cruelty? If God permits suffering for pleasure, he is worse than Nero. If he permits it for punishment, who punished the innocent? And if he cannot prevent it, he is not God. On karma, caste, and the politics of religion. He turns then to the doctrine of karma, the belief that suffering in this life is punishment for sins in a previous one. He tears it apart. If a child is born into a low-caste family, poor, denied education, despised by those above him, and that child commits a crime out of desperation, who bears the guilt? God, who arranged this world. society which denied him every chance, or the child who was simply born into a structure he did not choose. My dear friends, these theories have been coined by the privileged classes. They try to justify the power they have usurped and the riches they have robbed with the help of such theories. And then he quotes, with devastating precision, the writer Upton Sinclair. Make a man a firm believer in the immortality of the soul, then rob him of all that he possesses. He will willingly help you in the process. Religion, Singh argues, has been used as a weapon against the poor, to make them accept their suffering as divine will and to make them complicit in their own oppression. On man creating God, he does not simply attack the idea of God. He explains where the idea came from. Man created God in his imagination when he realized his weaknesses, limitations, and shortcomings. In this way, he got the courage to face all the trying circumstances and to meet all the dangers that might occur in his life. God was not a lie invented by the wicked. God was a psychological necessity invented by the frightened. A father figure, a comforter, a deterrent against chaos. And for a long time, Singh even acknowledges this was useful. The idea of God is helpful to a man in distress, but, he argues, what is useful and what is true are different things. A crutch helps a man walk. It does not grow him a new leg. And a society that insists on the crutch can never learn to walk on its own. The essay closes with Bhagat Singh looking directly at his own death. He knows the verdict will come in days. He knows what it will say. And so he asks himself, as an atheist, as a man with no heaven to hope for, no rebirth as a king, no paradise waiting, what exactly is he left with? A God-believing Hindu may expect to be reborn a king. A Muslim or a Christian might dream of the luxuries he hopes to enjoy in paradise as a reward for his sufferings and sacrifices. What hope should I entertain? He pauses on this. He sits with the full weight of it, and then he reaches the most astonishing line in the entire essay. I see that a short life of struggle with no such magnificent end shall itself be my reward. That is all. Without any selfish motive of getting any reward here or in the hereafter, quite disinterestedly, have I devoted my life to the cause of freedom. I could not act otherwise. He didn't fight because God told him to. He didn't fight for heaven. He didn't fight to be reborn as something better. He fought because injustice was intolerable, and he had the capacity to resist it. That was enough. A friend comes to him in the jail and asks him to pray. He is told, when your last days come, you will begin to believe. And Bhagat Singh gives his final answer. No, dear sir, never shall it happen. I consider it to be an act of degradation and demoralization. For such petty, selfish motives, I shall never pray. Reader and friends, is it vanity? If it is, I stand for it. On March 23rd, 1931, at 7:30 in the evening, 3 hours ahead of the scheduled time, as if the British were afraid of what morning might bring, Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, and Sukhdev were hanged in Lahore Central Jail. Bhagat Singh was 23 years old. He went to the gallows, by all accounts, smiling, singing, head high, without God, without fear, without regret. You do not need to be an atheist to find this essay extraordinary. What Bhagat Singh wrote in that cell in 1930 was not a rejection of faith. It was an affirmation of something rarer and more demanding. The willingness to face reality without comfort, to act without reward, and to die without consolation. He did not call God evil. He called God unnecessary. He said that human beings, if they are ever to be free, must eventually take responsibility for their own world, their own justice, their own dignity. not wait for heaven to arrange it. And he said this, let us be absolutely clear, from a prison cell, days before the rope, without any reason to perform, without any audience to impress, writing for himself, writing for truth. Whether you agree with his conclusions or not, the courage of the reasoning is undeniable. A 23-year-old man facing death, using his final weeks to think clearly, rigorously, without self-pity, about the largest questions a human being can ask. I am a realistic man. I want to overpower this tendency in me with the help of reason. I'm not always successful in such attempts, but it is man's duty to try and make efforts. Success depends on chance and circumstances. That is not vanity. That is philosophy, written in the last breath of a life, given entirely to others. This is Book Extract. The full essay is available to read wherever you are. If this moved you, share it with someone who should hear it. Subscribe for the next one. We'll see you there.